In the heart of the Mexican mountains, far from the prying eyes of civilization, lies a remote canine training facility. The compound, surrounded by dense forests and rugged terrain, serves as both a fortress and a sanctuary, a place where elite dogs are trained for military and law enforcement operations. Captain Daniel Reyes, a former U.S. Marine turned canine specialist, oversees the facility. His methods are strict, his discipline unwavering, and his bond with the dogs unbreakable. He doesn't just train them, he transforms them into warriors. Despite its isolation, danger looms closer every day. The cartel sees the facility as a threat to their operations. Anonymous threats have been arriving, messages scrawled in blood-red paint on the facility's outer walls. Leave or die. At night, the air is heavy with tension. Strange figures lurk in the shadows, just beyond the fence line. The dogs sense it before anyone else, their ears twitching, their low growls rippling through the kennels. They know something is coming. Captain Daniel Reyes, a battle-hardened veteran who carries the scars of war, both seen and unseen. He turned to training K9S after leaving the military, believing that these dogs could save countless lives on the battlefield and the streets. He is the backbone of the facility, a leader who commands both respect and loyalty. Sergeant Elena Torres, once a Mexican army soldier, now a K9 handler, fiercely protective of the dogs. She has spent years building a bond of trust with them. She sees them as more than animals. They are her brothers in arms. Marco El Lobo Jimenez, a ruthless cartel leader who sees the facility as an obstacle in his empire. He is as cunning as he is brutal, known for burning villages to the ground without a second thought. His men fear him, but his enemies fear him more. Luis Ortega, a former cartel enforcer who turned informant. He has been feeding intelligence to Captain Reyes, trying to keep the facility one step ahead of the cartel's attacks. But his loyalty is always in question. Can he truly be trusted? The cartel believes the K9 unit is being used to track their drug shipments, that these dogs, trained to sniff out narcotics and explosives, are helping authorities dismantle their network. Then, the final warning arrives: shut down or burn with it. The team prepares for war, reinforcing the facility's defenses. The fences are fortified, patrols are doubled, and the handlers stay armed at all times. But deep down, they know the truth. The cartel isn't just threatening, they're coming. The K9S sense the threat before anyone else. They prowl the perimeter, their eyes scanning the darkness, their ears twitching at the slightest sound. Shadow, the lead Belgian Malinois, is the first to growl. His fur bristles, his muscles tense. He knows something is coming. Captain Reyes watches his dogs closely. He turns to his team and says, "These dogs are more than just tools. They're soldiers." But no one, not even Reyes, fully realizes just how true that statement is. Because when the cartel finally strikes, these dogs won't just defend their home. They will fight. The morning sun rises over the mountains, casting long shadows over the K9 training facility. The air is thick with the scent of dirt, sweat, and determination. The team moves like clockwork, pushing both themselves and the dogs to their limits. Captain Daniel Reyes stands with arms crossed, watching as his handlers guide their elite K9S through the day's exercises. The drills are brutal: tracking, takedowns, endurance runs through rocky terrain. Every move is precise. Every mistake is corrected with discipline and patience. Nearby, Sergeant Elena Torres runs an obedience drill with Ghost, a jet-black Belgian Malinois. With a single hand signal, Ghost freezes in place. Another command, and he's a blur of motion, tackling a padded decoy to the ground. "Good boy," Elena whispers, rubbing his ears. Ghost leans into her touch. This is more than just training. It's a bond built on trust, survival, and mutual respect. Elsewhere, newer recruits struggle. A young trainee, Corporal Javier Medina, hesitates as his K9 partner, Bravo, refuses to follow orders. He's not listening. Medina huffs, frustration creeping into his voice. Captain Reyes approaches, his gaze sharp. "Then you're not speaking his language," he says. He kneels beside Bravo, his voice calm. "He's not a machine, soldier. He's a warrior. Treat him like one." Between training sessions, handlers share stories of how some of these K9s were rescued. Ghost, once left for dead by an abusive owner, now the fiercest fighter in the unit. Bravo, a street dog who survived cartel shootouts before being trained for combat. Shadow, the most intelligent tracker, once belonged to a corrupt officer before Reyes took him in. These dogs aren't just fighters, they're survivors. Miles away, in a dimly lit warehouse, Marco El Lobo Jimenez sits at the head of a long table. His men gather around, their expressions grim. "Tell me," Marco growls, tapping a cigar against the table. "What do we know about this facility?" His spies report in. They've mapped out the security patrol routes, weak points in the fencing, weapon caches. One man smirks, tossing down a blueprint. They think they're untouchable. They're wrong. Unbeknownst to them, Luis Ortega is there, blending in with the cartel soldiers. His heart pounds as he memorizes every detail. That night, he sneaks away and radios back to the K9 facility. They're planning something big. Cap. More men. Better weapons. They're done playing games. Back at the facility, Captain Reyes listens, jaw tightening. He looks out at his team and the dogs. "Let them come," he mutters. "We're ready." Night falls. The wind howls through the trees, carrying with it an unsettling silence. The K9s sense it first. Their ears twitch, noses sniffing the air. Then, movement at the fence line. A small group of cartel soldiers creep forward, cutting through the wire. They move in formation, silenced weapons ready. But they aren't alone. Shadow, Ghost, and Bravo are already watching. The attack is fast, but the response is faster. Shadow takes down the first intruder, his jaws clamping onto the man's arm before he can raise his gun. Ghost lunges at another, knocking him flat. His teeth inches from the man's throat. Gunfire erupts, but the handlers are already on high alert, taking cover and returning fire. Within minutes, the cartel retreat, dragging their injured with them. Back at the hideout, Marco Jimenez is furious. He slams his fist against the table. They want a fight? Fine. If they want war. He lights his cigar, his eyes cold. We'll bring them hell. At the facility, the team reinforces their defenses. More patrols, more weapons, more security. But the weight of the inevitable battle lingers in the air. That night, some handlers say silent goodbyes to their dogs. No words, just quiet moments of understanding. They know the cartel will come back, stronger, deadlier. Corporal Medina grips Bravo's collar. "You're gonna be okay, boy," he whispers. But the truth is, he's telling himself that. Elena Torres finds him sitting alone. "You scared?" she asks. He doesn't answer. She places a hand on his shoulder. "Trust the dogs," she says softly. "They won't let us down. None of them will. Because when the cartel finally returns, they won't be fighting just men. They'll be fighting soldiers. And they have no idea what's coming." Midnight. A thick fog settles over the mountains, masking the distant rumble of engines approaching fast. A convoy of cartel trucks tears down the dirt road, headlights off, moving like wolves closing in on their prey. At the front, Marco El Lobo Jimenez grips the wheel, his knuckles white. His eyes burn with vengeance. No more warnings, he growls. "Burn it to the ground." The attack happens fast. Molotov cocktails shatter against the buildings, flames licking the walls like hungry beasts. Automatic gunfire rips through the night, sending handlers diving for cover. K9s bark in alarm, their instincts on high alert. A storage unit explodes, showering debris across the training yard. Inside the facility, Captain Daniel Reyes wakes to the chaos. He grabs his rifle, shoving the door open to find smoke, flames, and the unmistakable screams of battle. "Move, move, move," he shouts, rallying his team. They return fire, but they're outnumbered. Elena Torres drags a wounded recruit behind cover, her breath ragged. "We weren't ready for this." Luis Ortega, still under cover with the cartel, watches from the tree-line. This isn't just an attack. It's a slaughter. Then, a Molotov is hurled toward the kennels. Reyes sees it too late. "No!" he roars, but the fireball crashes against the roof. Flames race across the wooden structure. Inside, the dogs howl in terror. Reyes makes a choice. A reckless, desperate choice. He sprints straight into the inferno. As smoke chokes the air, Reyes reaches the kennels, coughing, eyes burning. His hands tremble as he unchains the first K9. Then the next. Then the next. "Go!" he shouts. "Hunt!" And just like that, hell turns on its attackers. Shadow, a Malinois trained for takedowns, moves like a shadow in the firelight. He lunges at a cartel gunman mid-throw, clamps his jaws onto the man's arm, and wrestles him to the ground before he can launch another Molotov. Titan, a massive Rottweiler, drags a bleeding handler to safety, growling as bullets whistle past. Ghost, a German shepherd, disappears into the smoke, tracking down fleeing cartel members with lethal precision. The cartel's screams mix with the barks and growls of the K9s. One cartel soldier panics, firing blindly. Ghost lunges from the darkness, knocking him flat. Another tries to run, but Bravo, the street dog turned soldier, leaps onto his back, dragging him down. A third cartel member raises his rifle, only to be tackled by Shadow, who sinks his teeth into his wrist, crushing the bone. Elena and her team seize the moment. "Push forward," she shouts, leading the handlers into the fray. They move with deadly precision, working alongside their K9 partners, reclaiming their home one battle at a time. For the first time, fear grips the cartel soldiers. They're devils. One man screams as a Belgian Malinois rips his rifle from his hands. Fall back, another yells, scrambling for cover as handlers unleash a second wave of attack dogs. Some cartel members flee into the night, but others, loyal to Marco, stay to fight. Big mistake. Reyes and Elena press forward, guns blazing. Luis Ortega turns on his former allies, mowing down 2 cartel gunmen. A cartel sniper sets up on the ridge, but before he can take a shot, Ghost takes him down. Titan, covered in dust and blood, pins a cartel enforcer to the ground, growling deep in his throat. The man trembles, weapon slipping from his hands. The cartel's attack crumbles. Then, only one man is left standing. Marco stands alone in the wreckage of his failed attack. The flames reflect in his eyes as he watches his empire fall apart. His men are either dead or running. His plan has failed, and yet he refuses to surrender. He turns to Reyes, his lips curling into a snarl. "You think this is over?" Marco spits. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Reyes steps forward, gun raised, heart steady. "I know exactly who you are," he says. "And I know exactly how this ends." Marco lunges forward, drawing a blade from his belt. He moves fast, faster than expected, but not faster than Reaper. The K9 launches forward, jaws clamping around Marco's forearm, locking onto his flesh like a steel trap. Marco howls in agony, dropping the knife. Reyes doesn't hesitate. With one final, brutal punch, he sends Marco crashing to the ground. The cartel leader chokes on his own breath, eyes wide with disbelief. For a long moment, the battlefield falls silent. Then, Reyes looks down at Marco, shaking his head. "It's over," he mutters. Reaper releases his grip and stands at Reyes' side. Behind them, the K9 facility still stands. Burned, battered, but not broken. Not today. Not ever. The battlefield is silent now. Smoke rises in thick, dark plumes, curling against the pale dawn sky. The once pristine training facility is scarred with bullet holes, charred walls, and shattered glass. But despite the wreckage, the K9s stand tall. Titan, the mighty Rottweiler, sits beside his wounded handler, ears perked, ever watchful. Ghost, the German shepherd, patrols the perimeter, sniffing the air for any remaining threats. Shadow, blood matted into his dark fur, nudges a fallen cartel member as if ensuring he won't rise again. Though battered and bruised, every single K9 survived, and that alone is a victory. The surviving handlers gather in the courtyard, exhaustion etched into their faces. Some check injuries, others mourn in silence. They have lost people, brothers, sisters. Then, in the distance, sirens wail. Law enforcement vehicles race up the dirt road, kicking up dust. Federal agents, military personnel, and local police flood the scene, taking in the devastation with wide eyes. The cartel's surviving members are dragged from the wreckage, bloodied and broken. The ones who tried to escape are rounded up with trained precision. One officer, stunned by what he sees, turns to Captain Reyes. "What the hell happened here?" Reyes, his uniform ripped and stained, exhales sharply. Justice. In the aftermath, the team gathers in what's left of the training yard. The fires have been put out. The dead have been counted. Captain Reyes steps forward, eyes scanning the faces of his battered team. "We lost a lot today," he says, his voice hoarse from smoke and exhaustion. A pause. A heavy silence. Then, his jaw sets. His voice steadies. "But we won't let them break us." A murmur of agreement ripples through the team. They are tired, wounded, but not defeated. Nearby, Elena kneels beside her K9 partner, Ghost. The German shepherd tilts his head, sensing her emotions. His fur is stained with soot. His muscles sore from the fight, but he still presses against her, unwaveringly loyal. She buries her face in his fur, whispering, "You saved me." Ghost lets out a small huff, as if to say, "Of course I did." Across the yard, Luis Ortega stands alone, watching. He left behind a life of crime to warn them. He risked everything. Now, with the cartel shattered, he has no place to go. Captain Reyes notices him and walks over. "You don't have to run anymore," Reyes says, his voice firm. Luis hesitates. Years of survival instincts tell him to leave, to disappear. But then, he looks around. At the team. The handlers. The dogs. "I'll stay," Luis says at last. "I want to help rebuild." For the first time in years, he's found something worth fighting for. Days pass. The facility still stands, scarred, but unbroken. Burned kennels are cleared, making way for stronger, reinforced structures. Bullet-riddled training. Dummies are replaced, ready for the next generation of warriors. The team, once shaken, finds new purpose. Word of their battle spreads. News stations pick up the story. Articles are written. Videos go viral. The world learns what happened here. How an elite K9 team and their handlers fought off an entire cartel. And in the end, one final image remains. As the sun rises over the training facility, a group of K9s stands together, their fur ruffled by the wind, their eyes sharp, their bodies strong. They are warriors, survivors, legends, and they are ready for whatever comes next. A year has passed since that fateful night, the night when the K9 unit became legends. The facility stands rebuilt, stronger than ever, with fortified walls and advanced security systems. New kennels, equipped with state-of-the-art technology, house the K9s. Training areas have been expanded, featuring obstacle courses and simulation environments to prepare the dogs for any scenario. Every corner of the facility now serves as a reminder of resilience, a testament to what they endured. Inside the headquarters, Captain Daniel Reyes stands before his team, a mix of familiar faces and new recruits eager to prove themselves. "What we accomplished together was remarkable," Reyes begins, his voice echoing in the room. "We've rebuilt not just this place, but our legacy." As he speaks, the K9s settle at their handlers' feet, tails thumping against the floor, reflecting the bond forged through trials. Each dog carries the spirit of those who fought alongside them. Meanwhile, the remnants of the cartel have splintered. Some surviving members, recognizing the futility of their actions, have turned informants. They provide crucial intel to authorities, aiding in the dismantling of larger operations. Drug caches are uncovered Kingpins are arrested. Law enforcement agencies worldwide take notice. The legacy of that battle in the mountains ripples across borders, inspiring police forces and canine units everywhere. Training programs adopt new techniques, integrating lessons learned from the heroic stand of Reyes and his team. In a news segment, footage of the K9S in action plays, showcasing their precision and loyalty. The world sees Titan, Shadow, Ghost, and Reaper, now veterans in their own right, engaging in drills and protective exercises. Final words from Captain Reyes resonate across the airwaves. They thought they could take us down. But as long as these dogs stand, we fight. The message is clear. The spirit of the K9 unit is indomitable. As the camera fades out, the screen displays a powerful image. The K9S standing proud against the setting sun, a reminder that they will always be ready to face the challenges ahead, side by side with their human counterparts. In the heart of Mexico's mountains, a new chapter has begun, and the fight for justice continues.